One psychedelic I took completely erased me. I've tried DMT, mushrooms, peyote, ayahuasca, among many other psychedelics, but nothing came close to this one. It didn't give me visuals, it dissolved the one seeing them. In this video, I'll share some of the psychedelics I've done over the years, how they compared, and which one absolutely blew them all out of the water and nothing comes close. It changed everything. This isn't about which one's the trippiest, but which one most deeply shattered my illusion of self. If you're into all things mystical, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Let's jump right into it. I started working with psychedelics as an opportunity to explore consciousness and to practice healing and artistic inspiration. I am a visionary artist, so most of my work is inspired by mystical experiences, and hence the psychedelic experience was always very fascinating to me. As well as someone who is an avid lucid dreamer and astral projector, I was always interested in other ways of exploring consciousness. Now, all this was very deeply rooted in a lot of meditation and grounding these experiences and using them again for spiritual purposes, not for recreational reasons. Also, as someone who was born in Colombia and my family is from Colombia, from South America, I was very interested in learning more about the indigenous culture and their works with things like mushrooms and yahe or ayahuasca and the lineage of that tradition. Let's go through some of the major psychedelics and my personal take on how they have felt as someone who has worked with these medicines multiple times in very respectful manner. Of course, all these medicines deserve their own full video and deep story time and description, but for this video we're going to provide a quick summary of each one of them and how it felt. Starting with mushrooms, it's earthly, emotional, healing, feels like a conversation with ancestors. Ayahuasca feels very ancient, shadow work, purging, rebirth, like being taken apart by the jungle and put back together. Definitely grandmother medicine. DMT, as in pure vaporized DMT, its explosive visuals, hyperdimension, archetypes, feels like being shot into a kaleidoscope into alien temples, basically. 5-MeO DMT is transcending visuals and dissolving into pure light, nothing and everything all at once. LSD is mind expanding, playful, often analytic. It's like your thoughts are projected on a giant movie screen. With ketamine, you feel disassociated. It's dreamlike, floating out of your body. It's like stepping into the void where time doesn't exist. Peyote is sacred, steady, heart-centered. Feels like sitting around in an eternal fire with ancestors. Definitely grandfather medicine. So a lot of these medicines, to say the least, are incredibly powerful and profound, but the one that blew the rest out of the water, that truly surpassed in level of intensity and profoundness and meaning, was the one that felt the most like pure ego death, pure dissolve into source, and that was 5-MeO DMT. Ironically, it was no visuals, but it was like transcending sight. It was like transcending all the sense doors, going beyond sight, taste, smell, feeling. No longer was there an observer to observe. They fully united and there just was pure source, pure God, pure light. It's very ironic that the most powerful psychedelic actually isn't very visual. At least for me, it wasn't. I've heard other accounts of people having visuals on it, but for me, it was like being plunged into pure consciousness, into the infinite, clear light mind, bliss that is truly beyond words, but here I am doing my best to describe it. The frequency of the cosmos is always in this vertical up and down waves of form. It just shot vertical and no longer was there anything, but everything was there. Pure love, pure light, just God. It was by far the closest thing I have experienced to death. as someone who practices astral projection and has left their bodies many times, and also has worked with many other medicines where I have felt very strong feelings of ego death. This one wasn't like dipping my toes into this clear light mind realm. It was like a full plunge into pure cosmic source. The only thing that was still in this space was this pulsing of the breath and this overwhelming sensation of love, of a parent's love times a billion. So just a very intense feeling of love. At first, a lot of people asked me if I was afraid, and before doing it, of course I was. But in the actual experience, there was no time for anybody to be afraid because it was so quick. I was plunged in there so quickly that there wasn't a sense of self to be experiencing fear anymore. And coming down from it was, again, also the feeling of being reborn. So it was very interesting, especially the repixelating back into myself and coming back almost felt like I had been gone forever, like I had broken time and had hung out in eternity, returned home, and then decided to come back as Juliana and eventually repixelated back. But time essentially broke in this experience. And of course, I knew that once I came back, oh, I'm still here. And obviously, it was probably a few minutes because of the context I knew. But if someone would have told me, I wouldn't really know if it would have been thousands of years that had gone by or one moment, just based on the experience alone. After this experience, I did start painting a lot of realms of light and realms of diamonds as a way of painting light. This space, the tricky part about it is that it is beyond form, so very hard to depict on things like the DMT realms or any of the other psychedelics, which even though those are pretty challenging to depict, at least there is an object to depict and a vision and form, but this one really transcended form. So if anything, it mostly inspired a very soft pastel luminous color palette, and the closest thing I've gotten to be able to paint it is to paint these realms made up of luminescent diamonds or jewels because they are reflecting light, and it gives the essence of right before it all dissolves into pure light. But ironically, this psychedelic also was the one that inspired me, I would say, to paint the least, because it really diminished any sense of desire I had in this world of form. That returning home was so blissful and beautiful that everything in the world dulled in comparison, where it was the first time that I really had no real big yearning or drive to create art, which I usually have. And this was the time period that I actually started emailing monasteries to potentially ordain as a Buddhist nun, because all I wanted to do was meditate and go deep into that space through meditation to reach that mountaintop on my own. Of course, I know that it's not sustainable to do it through doing 5-MeO all the time. So my thought was like, if I dedicate my life to meditation, I can be there all the time on my own. But this was during COVID when monasteries were not accepting new monastics. So thankfully I had some time to think about it, and eventually some of those yearnings and passions to paint and create came back, and it ended up translating to painting a lot of luminous realms, and definitely changed my color palette from a darker background with neon colors, very NNDMT inspired color palette, to a softer, more pastel, more luminous color palette. And since then, I have started to play around with both again. But if you do see any of my works that have more of a kind of luminous quality and pastel colors, they're usually more inspired by 5-MeO, versus the ones that have more of a black background with neon colors are usually more inspired by NNDMT. Ultimately, this is a very brief summary of my 5-MeO experience as well as other psychedelic experiences. I have many other videos where I go far more into depth, which you can check out. I'll put them in the link below. Ultimately, 5-MeO allowed me to more deeply understand the clear light mind, or that place of source, that home. And since I have been very inspired to reach that through pure meditation, so it has given me a turbo boost on inspiration on my meditation practice, which I continue to do, even though it's been a handful of years, about 5 years since my 5-MeO experience. I still continue to use it as a reference point for inspiration. But of course, ultimately, the point is not to just do these substances all the time. Again, it is to reach that mountaintop of consciousness on our own. Hence why I deeply recommend a very stable and beautiful meditation practice, investing time into meditation techniques, into meditation retreats, into practicing meditation ideally daily, and grounding your psychedelics experiences through meditation. And even though that 5-MeO experience wasn't the first time I had touched this space of pure consciousness, infinite pure bliss, clear light mind, I had accessed it a few different times through various other psychedelics and through lucid dreams and astral projections. This was by far the deepest plunge into that space, and it will forever inspire me. And now I'm working with things like sleep yoga, which is becoming conscious in deep sleep, as another way of accessing it. So what I want to share is that this space is not limited only to the 5-MeO experience. I believe this space is, in a sense, our deepest home, which is available to us in each moment. It is about learning to become available to it more deeply. And many other types of mystical tools can get you there. May that be lucid dreaming, sleep yoga, dream yoga, other psychedelics, very profound meditation. This nirvanic clear light mind space is, I believe, inherently our nature. So of course we just need to move all the world of form and our busy thoughts and constant dreaming out of the way so that we can access this place. And ironically, the more I practice, the more I see that really this space is nowhere else but here. It's just we are deeply distracted by this world of form, like a fancy hologram. The more we can become centered and clear our mind, the more deeply we can feel into that space in this very moment. If this resonates with you, I'd love for you to check out some of my art. Here are some more examples. Check them out at julianagarcesart.com, link in the description. And if you'd like to hear more deeply about my 5-MeO experience, as well as various other experiences like my DMT journeys and astral projection journeys, check out my channel so you can watch some of those. Thank you so much for watching, and lots of love to all of you.